eyesight is so important, and that's why we're all doing this.
Hi, I'm Alena Reznichenko, Vice President, Global Medical Affairs, Ophthalmology at Regeneron. I am thrilled that we were able to bring 4 accomplished leaders in ophthalmology for a conversation on what has contributed to the success of their careers, to understand what excites them about the field of ophthalmology, to obtain their perspectives on where the ophthalmology field is going, and to get advice that might help the young and new generation of physicians entering this field. I would love to introduce Doctors Diana Doe, Judy Kim, Eleonora Lad, and April McCullough. And I hope that the advice and the insights obtained from this conversation will be valuable to you.
Looking back at my career, so far 20 years in retina, one of the things that really is most memorable is the collaborative work we've done together. When I'm seeing patients at Stanford University and treating hundreds and thousands, that's very satisfying. But when I'm working with each of you in clinical trials, we have the possibility of impacting hundreds and thousands and millions of patients worldwide if we develop a drug that's efficacious and safe. So that part of my career, I think, is so fulfilling.
I think research is primarily my most rewarding piece of my career so far, and in particular, the advent of 2 new treatments for 2 new disease indications.
It's been very rewarding working in a role where I'm able to contribute to the development of medications, which weren't available for patients that I saw in clinical practice at the time who could lose their vision. And being able to work together and learn together to help bring new therapies to those patients is really rewarding.
Judy, you've accomplished so much. If you had to choose one single important memory, what would you be most proud of?
I'm passionate about education and research, but another area that hasn't been mentioned that I would like to bring out is leadership. I've been able to help guide the strategies, the vision, the mission of different organizations. I'm quite excited that through those efforts, I've learned so much personally, but I've also been able to help others come along with me, because to me, leadership is helping others do their best so that together we can do greater things than each of us alone.
I believe mentorship is so important in our space, especially for women. And there are all kinds of mentors. I've had peer mentors, I've had senior mentors, I've had senior male mentors, senior female mentors, and I think they all bring in different perspectives. And they're all very valuable. And networking is critical, and you can do this by traveling, or now you can do it remotely and virtual. But it does give you the opportunity to collaborate with investigators and people from all over the world, with pharma, with patient advocacy group, with foundations, etc. So we can work on important ideas to help patients. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to find mentorship early on and maintain it throughout one's career. I don't think you're ever old enough to have a mentor, or a few. What do you think, Judy?
So when I started, there weren't that many female mentors. So many of my initial mentors were men, which is fine because they taught me a lot of things that I otherwise would not have known. Nowadays, even younger people are my mentors. I learn their special skills that I otherwise would not have gotten. So age doesn't limit me. Gender does not limit me. And in fact, I recommend women to have many different mentors of both genders, and make it broad, as deep as possible, so that you can learn from them. People ask me, how do I find a mentor? That's one question I get a lot. I find that people are willing to help you if you just ask. They're more than happy to share their life experience or whatever question they may have. So it's just taking that one step forward and asking, how can I do this better. Could you help me? So I would start with that. What do you think, April?
I know for me that networking and mentoring have been critical. So networking, thinking outside the box, expanding horizons, not just within ophthalmology, but outside as well, helped me find unique opportunities. And mentoring helped me especially with transitions. Having confidence can be a little challenge because you're facing the unknown. So mentors help me with the challenges of the transition and help show me the way.
I think all of you have really said so many inspirational truths. And when I go into a medical meeting now, I'm not surprised at all to see women presenting in leadership positions. And I think that just speaks to the wonderful development of women in medicine.
There are a lot of women coming up, but we still lack people on top. So I think that's an area we still have to work with. But I remember one meeting at Retina Subspecialty Day, I had everybody get their phone out to do something. And somebody came up to me years later and she said, I remember your phone was bling bling with pink going all over and you weren't afraid to show the feminine side of your phone case. I didn't even think about that, but people are looking at us, seeing these things, and they say, well, if she could do it, then I could do it.
Modeling is so important, I agree, and supporting women and telling them to stick with it when times get tough, because I think tenacity is so important when you're a woman and have so many things going on, and the pressures are different, because we do need women to move up in leadership positions and take the spot around the table. There used to be, not that many years ago, when I was often the only woman in the room, and I cannot imagine how often that happened to you a few years before that. So it's changing for the better, but I agree, we need to help everyone come up.
You know, there's so much happening in retina, right? I would say, one area that I'm really interested in is the longer durability, so that patients don't have to come in as often to get their treatment to preserve their eyesight. So certain things include gene therapy. Other things include different modality of action than we currently have. That really excites me.
I love your response because retina is so innovative. We've seen over the past 2 decades, how much vision we've saved in our patients just with the advent of intravitreal anti-VEGF therapy. But the future is bright because scientists and clinicians are always looking at what's the unmet need. How can we improve outcomes? And I love it because now we're talking about gene therapy. We're talking about different mechanisms of action. In 5 years, we're going to be talking about something else. So it's a constant evolution, and it's always good.
I'm also excited about the potential for more personalized medicine that could be offered by artificial intelligence and new imaging technologies. Personalized not just in the sense of tailoring treatments to patients, but also personalized in the sense that AI can improve efficiency so that doctors have more time to spend with their patients and build meaningful relationships and conversations.
AI is a prime example of how exciting retina is. I think we're leading the efforts in clinical medicine in AI because of our access to imaging, and we have high resolution imaging of all kinds. And also it allows a window to systemic disease. So now major tech companies are capitalizing on that in collaboration with whole bunch of clinical practices of all types and pharma. So we're all coming together again collaboratively to learn more, to improve diagnostics, to improve enrollment in clinical trials, to develop better treatments, to find out how to use personalized medicine to get the best treatment to the right patient with the right durability to minimize the burden of care. So that's just an example of how exciting our space is, and it's so dynamic, and I agree that, and I think it's going to change. I think it will change in a few years again. Our space is changing constantly, and we're ready for it, and keeps me getting up every morning with great excitement that there's so much happening. Collaboration is so important these days, I believe, between all stakeholders, and I think it comes with a genuine interest to help our patients and improve the standard of care. and get to those unmet needs that we all already discussed. So I think if the goals are aligned, then we can start together by designing studies that are very collaborative in nature with a goal in mind, and start iterating together, and then figure out who's each party, the academic consortia or a pharma or any other stakeholders can contribute to addressing those questions together.
I completely agree with you, because we've seen through all of our scientific collaborations how quickly we can develop a therapy for a patient. And that can't be done by a single person. It takes hundreds or thousands of clinician scientists to work together. And I love how when we have an idea, I could reach out to any one of you and we could get things moving forward. And I think that's only going to benefit our patients.
I also think a key way to enhance and foster collaboration is through mutual and reciprocal education and training. So for instance, industry can offer education on new technologies to physicians, while physicians in turn can offer clinical insights that can help in shaping drug development processes to ensure that the medicines meet patients' needs.
For one of the fellowship forum, I was given a topic of how to relate with industry as an academician. During my 30 years of experience, we cannot exist without the other. Obviously, there are definitely differing interests out here, but there's a Venn diagram where it overlaps. And I think there are many things that can overlap between industry and academia, industry and patient care, and we are able to coexist and collaborate for the benefit of our patients overall to keep their eyesight. Eyesight is so important. So for the newcomers to our field, what advice would I give them? I would say don't be afraid to raise your hand, because otherwise they're not going to know that you want it. And two, when they do ask you to do something, do a really, really good job. And then finally, have fun. This is a great, great field. Have fun.
I'd say to the newcomers, stay humble, stay curious, be there to help the patients, which is what you're here to do. Stay passionate and enjoy.
My advice would be to find your passion, reach for the stars, and don't take no for an answer.
I'd say play outside your sandbox, expand your horizons. You'll never know what opportunities you'll find, what people you'll meet, and new opportunities and views can enhance your perceptions of the world.